Hello, everyone. Welcome back to more Stanley Parable. The Ultra Deluxe, or now the sequel, is even the pause screen here is telling me. I've not rebooted the game yet, and as such, there is no reboot screen. You got two last part. I think it's acceptable.
Gone.
Happy 12th birthday, Stephanie.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Alright, well, this part should all be the same. At least till we get to the weird door. Oh, I could react to the bucket.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Well, this is my best friend, the bucket. I can't go in that door anymore, unfortunately, but I think it's fine.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Alright.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
I'm glad that they rewrote all these lines.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
The bucket is so right. Do you have anything more to say about the...
Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure.
It was.
Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right. Then walking to the lounge. Then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
Yeah. I do like me some bucket.
Perhaps this was where the bucket felt most truly at home. Here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home.
I'm going to stay here as long as you have new stuff to say about the bucket.
Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge.
Yeah!
Here, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection.
It's true. No, it just dawned on me. What is the bucket gonna have to say about the broom closet? Ooh. Looking forward to that later. Any more to say? Anything else? Okay, I think that might have been it. Alright, let's get moving.
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
No,
It's the balloon again.
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Yeah. I obey, bucket.
Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Yes, bucket. I obey.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
It's true.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up.
I'm... well...
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Oh, I can move here. I thought that was a cutscene because it was so differently structured. Is there any buckets here for me? Hello? Apparently it's either noon or midnight. Hello? Any buckets? So I'm stuck here. What's even the point of living if you can't live? Bucket! Hello, Stanley, it's me, your bucket. Press B to take me to work with you.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever
Yes,
Stanley
it
is
does.
hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Nah, there's definitely a bucket that's commanding me to take it everywhere. I love the bucket. I love you, bucket. Press off to take me back home with you, Stanley.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
It's time to go back to work.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Don't listen to the loud man. Press up for us to go back home.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time, it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now
buddy.
all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Must be to ignore anyone in your life except for me.
It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore.
I
From now
just see
on,
the
he's
bucket.
just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty
Yes.
bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
It's a good bucket. You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley? Press Y to go back home.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket.
It's back
It's
on
just a
here.
little more, what am I trying to say?
It's
Sturdier,
music.
more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Press stop to live the same day with me over and over.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
It's an amazing bucket. So you started it. Press Y to go home to work, to home to work, to home.
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand.
The bucket's in bed.
Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
Yes, sir. Go get a bucket.
Stanley, give me the bucket.
Yes.
Give it to me. Give me the bucket,
No,
Stanley.
my bucket.
I need it. Give it to me now. Give it, or I'll...
Close your eyes. That was amazing. Go back to work, Stanley. I'm not disappointed in the slightest about
All
that.
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
No,
Perhaps
let's
he had
go
simply
see what
missed a
that
moment.
actual ending is supposed to be. Without the bucket this time. Although, yes, that was legendary.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes. This room.
I was gonna
But
go do that
eager
same
to
because
get
I never
back to
actually did the
business,
normal ending.
Stanley took the first open door on his left.
So I'm curious if it openly replaces every ending.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
True.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the
Hey, look, it's
story
one of
has
the
been about
statues, I just
nothing but
noticed.
you all this time. There's someone
How do
you've
you
been
fall down there?
neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
The bucket?
Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now,
I know
I'm
this
not
wasn't
asking
written for the
me,
bucket, but oh my god, this fits the bucket way too
so
well.
that's, Stanley, your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life.
Oh no,
She's
you're
been
calling the
waiting.
bucket a her.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Okay. 427. What
Stanley,
the?
is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting.
I can't
I'm just
walk.
pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Hello.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to
So
get
I
you
need
to
a bucket?
see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Do I need a bucket? Yes.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Good morning, employee 427. Press Y on your controller. Okay.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Please press Y.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do.
It's literally his
Now
job.
he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Yeah? Yeah. Please press Y. What if I just don't? Just refuse to press the button. It's a small room. I can't exactly do much here. Oh well.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown. Fantastic
Fuck you to
discoveries
tell me
of
they
new
were in my head.
lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Please press A to watch TV.
And so he began to
Oh, no
fantasize
TV.
about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The
How
thought
tragic.
excited him terribly.
Just press Y to spend time with the boys.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice.
Hurrah!
It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Please press Y to prepare dinner.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to
Well.
fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions.
It's
and
true.
down another was a game with a baby.
That's also
And he
true.
called it the Stanley Parable.
Please press up to tell your kids the story.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Maybe so. Please press B to tell your wife you love her.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be?
Oh,
In
well.
reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Please press A to go to sleep.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Okay. No buttons. No buttons for me. Nope. You told me not to press buttons, so I'm not gonna press it. No buttons. No buttons for me. course you have nothing to say to this. Fine.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Where's the bucket? Please press it's question nothing.
I suppose I can't. Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must.
True.
Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button.
Died.
And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Okay. Fascinating. You know what? It's in some odd 5 parts. Maybe I should actually go and see what
All of
you
his
want me to
coworkers
do.
were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
I
decided
have
to go
enough
to
time
the
for
meeting
another
room.
part.
Perhaps he had simply missed
Sorry.
a memo.
Let's just be a blind, little obedient minion and just do everything you
When
say.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open
So
doors,
I've already done all
he
this
entered the door
so
on
far.
his left.
We'll go through all this.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling
You
a
didn't bring
wave
up the
of
broom
disbelief,
closet, so I'm not
Stanley
going there.
decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Yeah?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
It's 182.5,
Shocked,
right?
unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief
Oh?
who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845.
I
But
think
of course,
the one I was
Stanley
thinking of
couldn't
was from
possibly
that weird
get it.
ending.
Incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Okay. Down we go. Loading, 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 loading.
Descending
Both
deeper into
loaded.
the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to
Oh.
think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Yeah, we did
Stanley
get-
walked
oh,
straight
dude.
ahead through the large door that read,
Okay, so this is
"Mind
the first I've
Control
gone on this
Facility."
path. So I'm gonna slow down a bit. Alright, there's a button. Let's press it.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television
What's this room
screens.
again?
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Probably not. Is there another button to press? Push.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed.
Fired.
Each
Fired.
bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives
So
of
red
so
tax
many
day, won't it?
individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Right now, what's that? I want to press the button. That's my idea of freedom.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions
Hello?
had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life
Hello?
in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
I mean, probably.
But here was the proof, the heart of the operation.
Mind control
Controls
offline.
labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating,
What's
working,
the pattern?
all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
I don't know what that 5 did, but I pressed it. Mind controls idle, awaiting input. Turn it on.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself.
I'm sorry,
Is
I
that what
can't
you
help
wanted?
myself.
Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode,
That's
eliminating the
unfortunate.
entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are?
I mean, I'm curious what that saves.
A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off?
I mean, maybe it is, I don't know.
Look at you, running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me.
Oh, here's the two, right next to the
Stanley,
one.
that this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Nah, not really.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't.
I mean,
take a look at the
that's
clock,
fair.
Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces.
I mean, that's still
Will you
ending.
cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go
Here's my
peacefully?
employee first.
Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Well, I got the nuclear ending. I don't think I've ever seen the narrator be quite that hostile until now.
All of his co-workers
But
were
yeah,
gone.
that's
What could it mean?
kind of explains
Stanley
a lot.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yeah, let's go on back. And this time we'll
When
actually
Stanley
obey.
came to a
I'll
set of
cut
two
back
open
because
doors,
it's going to be a
he
few
entered
minutes.
the door.
I found one of these statues.
You
To me.
found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure
Yes.
of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I
Ooh.
implore you to savor each and every
Mhm.
moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
So this was right after the boss's office. Like, that's the office right there. I came in, and then yeah. So back to skipping ahead. Okay, so I'm back in this room. I'm clearly not supposed to turn that on. It's already off. So what now? I guess I can go hunt down those buttons again. Maybe they actually do something this time. So there's a 1, 2. There's a 3 somewhere. I still haven't found it though. And 4 and 5, which I do know where they are. I think he's gonna be somewhere mean. I just know it. Three. They don't really make an effort to hide the buttons. Wait a minute, is that it? That's why I've never seen the 3s, because I'm always walking the opposite direction. Like, it was only really visible clockwise, and I'm usually going counter. I can't go up the... You have to turn on the micro facility for that. Can I go through this door? Because that gets sealed off. Well, tried. I can't reach the 4 without turning it on either. So, I mean, I guess I can walk up here and just hit off, even though it's already off.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Already off, though. Okay, it's off. What now? How do we get out? No elevators.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
There's a surprising number of
Was it
endings that
over?
are just darkness.
Yes, he had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone?
Who knows?
How had he been freed from the machine's grasp?
Well,
What
you
other
told me
mysteries
that in
did
the
this
last story.
strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No
See?
longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel.
I wish the bucket was
Whatever
here with
life
me.
he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know.
The irony
It
of
was
this statement coming
perhaps
from
the
the
only
blind
thing
faith
worth knowing.
ending is great.
Stanley stepped through the open door.
I can't! It won't let me.
Stanley felt
Okay,
the
there we
cool
go.
breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen.
So where's your
And
car?
Stanley was happy.
I assume you have a car. At the very least, you live in a city, not the countryside. I remember that from the other ending. Achievement unlocked. Beat the game. Nice. Now let's go do that again, but with the bucket. You better believe I'm going to do that again, but with the bucket.
Gone. What could it mean?
I'm not going to cut it out this time either,
to the meeting room.
because
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
It's true. Still no obedient little minion. Somewhere about the red and blue. Sorry, Gabe, there must be a point in this. No, I have to. I have a bucket.
Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can
does.
feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket.
I don't even know
how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
Okay, here's the bucket. I want the bucket, never mind.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go.
Property of Stanley.
Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Is there anything left in the broom closet?
I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate.
Bucket.
I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
I hope this lasts throughout playthroughs and it's just always has these stickers now. I feel like it won't, but...
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Okay. I don't think you have anything else to add, so let's go.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Thank you for just finding the bucket. Oh yeah, so I found out last time that there's actually a different thing if you actually
Stepping
put in
into his
the
manager's
inputs.
office, Stanley was once again stunned to
Oh, yeah.
discover not an indication of any human life.
It's 245.
Crushed by, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
Oh,
Was
it's
the
actually
bucket
different this
guiding
time.
him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical
So
explanation.
you can actually skip that if you have the bucket. So when I did it, he told me off, said I was rushing things, and I had to sit there and listen to some calming music for a minute. I almost started recording it just from that, but ended up not because I wasn't sure how long of a bit it was actually going to be.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket.
That is, in fact, property of
Soothing
Stanley.
him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Yes.
The lights rose on an
Okay.
enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
In the bucket. Please, it's the bucket's will first and foremost. You remember that one ending?
The monitors jumped to life, and
I
Stanley
noticed
nearly
this
dropped the
earlier.
bucket
Like,
in
do you
shock.
see that at 2:34?
Everyone in the office
It's
was
just
being
garbage.
videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The
I'm
bucket
waiting for the numbers to
never
come back
saw
so you can see
anything
too. It's
like
round brain
this,
facing.
and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently.
Yeah, C234
reassuring
is
it
just
that
garbage.
everything would be fine.
At least like that fire detect shows up on
Was
a
the
few of
bucket
these.
under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
Oh.
These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the
One
entire
of those
world.
monitors said pirate.
At this point,
I just noticed
he
I
could
just went
trust
down.
no one except for the bucket.
It's true. I trust the bucket more than any.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley
Yes.
and the bucket, up
Yeah.
against the world.
Yeah.
They high-fived in a really cool way, and the
Back
bucket
out
made a
in
sassy
the-
comment about
yeah.
taking down the system.
Alright, turn it off. Again, but this time with the bucket.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over?
I mean, I can't imagine it's different just because I have a bucket,
Yes,
right?
They had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to
Let me see
discuss
the
the
bucket
kind of
again.
life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth.
Those are
of
both
them
good
wanted
goals.
to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True,
like that
it was
idea.
a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to
Yeah.
trust, to support.
Uh-oh.
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the
Objectively, that is
facility
true.
itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket. needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, will go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No,
See,
no.
fair.
Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But
Okay.
at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be
Yeah.
okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Yeah. And is never the end. Oh, well, that was the end. That was never really the end.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The
Stickers.
confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the
What is that one? Oh, the end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end. Nice. You know what? Let's go for the nuclear detonation ending again. But this time, with the calming
Stanley
aura
tossed
of the
tightly
bucket.
to his chair from this broom closet. Simply
Hey, sorry,
because
I went back
had
to the
no
broom
remaining
closet.
Stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
Okay, wait, I just had to check to see if there was anything, and there was. Alright, back to...
But here
Right,
was
I'm
the
back here
proof.
again.
The heart of the operation.
We're gonna turn on the
Controls
microphone.
labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it
Yes.
monitored and commanded
Let's
from
conquer
this very
all
place.
one person's... Or I
As
guess
the
if you count the
cold reality
narrator.
of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machine... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls.
No, that was me, not the
Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have
Probably.
betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen.
What? Silly birds.
Silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Is bird or bird? Press the bird button. I love this.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world.
I'm quite to
The
agree.
mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket
love
known
this.
this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery.
Birds.
Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Yeah, it's a good ending. It's the bird ending. Alright, well. Oh, they moved the bucket forward. It's up here now. Also, wait a minute. Oh, they're just... Oh, they didn't move me forward.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and
Alright,
entered
dude,
the
you know,
door
let's
of his
do the
van.
insanity route. Sure. I need to see. There will be a reward for finding them all. This is about the collectibles. Nice. You gotta remember, there's still one somewhere. Room closet.
Stanley, we must move on from this
Okay, no,
broom
there's
closet,
nothing else to add.
simply because I have no remaining stick. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
No one.
Another miniature Stanley figurine.
Yay!
Yes, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands?
I like mini
Stanley
stands.
figs. What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Yay!
but Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished?
Silly.
His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe
this is
I
the
am
same as
crazy.
the normal game.
He looked down at the bucket in his
Oh,
arms.
there we go.
Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these.
It's true.
He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps.
Is that why
How did I end up
started
with
from a weird
someone
spot?
else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this.
What
Who
happened to the
knows
bucket?
what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious.
Yeah, this part
he
is
exclaimed.
normal.
Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard
it's like
it
the
calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly
Bucket.
be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing
Oh,
by
no.
one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity.
Bucket,
and then
bucket.
suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Oh, well, okay.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other.
I hope that
She
Mariella
rose,
has a bucket.
got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort,
Yeah, exactly, there we
and
go.
walked to her place of work.
Nice.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket.
It's true.
Of course, he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him.
It's true.
Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work,
Yes.
for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she
She's
backflipped
probably
all the way
right.
to work.
I'm sure the bucket told her to do that. Okay, so we're back in the actual starting area, not the shortcut route,
How
I
long
guess.
was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries?
A few
Did
seconds?
something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Meeting today in the meeting room. I'm gonna ignore the bucket this time. We're gonna go for one more ending and then we'll
When
We'll call
Stanley
it.
came to a set of 2 open doors, blah blah blah, dark
Oh,
secrets,
different
the
text.
keypad, Stanley
Oh,
pushes some buttons.
wow.
Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Okay, so I didn't even have to enter anything. Nice. You wanted to save me time though. You could have saved the time in other ways, but sure. Alright.
Demanded from this very
I'm back here
as the
and
cold
I've
reality of his
got to
past
try it
began
again.
to
I'm gonna
sink
see if
in,
it's possible.
Stanley decided that this machinery wouldn't... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls. After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand,
Well.
there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system.
Well, that's
In the
unfortunate.
event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode.
Yes, this part's the same as
eliminating the
normal.
entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine.
2.
You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it.
3.
Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But
Not
what
sure if the buttons
precious
actually do anything, but I've got to try it, you know?
more time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I
4.
barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are?
And I'm still not
A
entirely
moment
sure.
of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you
What?
exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I
Yeah.
tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other
need
times,
to count
I
down.
let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp.
5.
I have to say this.
Look,
though,
there's buttons
this
to
version of
press.
events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost
4.
hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go around will be even better.
Yes.
My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra
Oh.
time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or
I'm
did
starting
you
to
just
think that
assume when
too,
you saw
yeah.
that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this
4.
room. These numbered buttons. No, these colored ones. Or maybe
Oh,
this
you're
big
supposed to
red
hit the
button.
buttons
Or
that are
this
on the
door.
monitors. It took me too long to
Everything,
notice.
anything, something here will save
Yeah, it's
me.
just 4.
Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Still a yellow
Do you
button.
really believe there's an answer? How many times will you replay this
Hmm.
bit, looking desperately for a solution?
Still says
10,
4.
100, 1,000? I look forward to finding out and to watching the bomb go off each time you fail. Just you and me and the retching explosion of
Gotta go
fire
hit
and
5
metal
again.
over and over and over for all of eternity. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again.
And again.
And Stanley died again. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30
Well.
seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces.
Alright, well, now it's just the same as those before. Now I don't have time to finish this, so
Or will you let it
BRB.
go?
Okay, so I was getting a little fed up, so I went and looked up, and no, there is not an extra ending for getting out of there, even though it's really structured like there should be. So, wasted my time on that one, but oh well. Thank you all for watching. Next time I'll try to find some actual endings and not some misleading endings. So until next time, take care, stay safe, have a good one. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.